Okay, well, hello, this is Dr. Margaret, and this is a little tutorial for my staff about Pecs and how we deliver it here at the Rye Center. So Pecs stands for Picture Exchange Communication System, and this is a system that we use to help kids to communicate when they're not vocal. We also might use a digital form, so like Proloquo or Talk Tablet. But typically, when we're initially training this, we're going to start out with PACS, the book, the physical book, till we teach the kids what they need to do and then transfer that to the tablet. Another thing that we often use is going to be keyword signs. So we're not teaching full sign language. We're not really qualified to do that. We're just teaching them keywords and the symbols that go with it so that they can communicate just certain icons uh, using the signs that go with it. So anyway, but this one's about PACS, and so the PACS book might look something like this. This is a standard PACS book. You can use a binder and design whatever you want. Have fun with it. Color the front of it. Use colors. Maybe you're going to do it smaller than this, like half size, smaller binders, so they have less to lug around. But you see, it's got a little Velcro strip on the front. That's where they put the words, what they want to communicate. And then the icons themselves, they're just pictures. Here's some. Say they want scrambled eggs. There's a picture of scrambled eggs. Say they want to tell you they're tired. There's one that they're tired. Oh, they want their squishy ball. Here's one for squishy ball. Okay, so they're just pictures, and here's a Gatorade. Say they got to have a Gatorade, but look what's on the back. See, they got this little Velcro on the back, so they stick on the front of that book. Anyway, so that's what they look like, okay? So I just want to talk to you a little bit about the different. Waiting for my computer to scroll here. Please. All right. So let's talk about the 6 phases. So phase 1 is the exchange. This is just the phase where we're teaching this kid that they got to exchange a card to get what they want. That's all it is. And then phase 2 is the travel. So now we've trained that they have to exchange a card. Now we're going to have them travel with that card. They're going to travel from the book to the trainer, from the trainer to the book, and then we're going to expand the travel so that they don't have to have it right in front of them and you handy to hand it to you. So they'll like move across the room to request something. And then we're going to train the discrimination, and the discrimination is they want water or they want milk or they want juice. They're opening the refrigerator and they need to discriminate and tell you what actually they want, the water, the milk, the juice. Are they actually discriminating when they're handing you those cards and making sure they're requesting the correct thing? Then we're going to build a little sentence structure, and we're going to add the I want to the front of it in phase 4. So we're taking simple picture cards and building them into sentences. And then in phase 5, we're adding a delay because we want these guys to become independent at their request. So the delay that we're adding is just adding time between a point and a verbal cue to move them to being spontaneous in their requests. And then once we got them doing that, we're going to move into phase 6 where, hey, yay, we're done training the mand, and we're going to start working on the tact a little bit. We're going to get these kids tacting items using their PECS icons. So that's basically what this is about, as an overview, and I'm going to go through each one of these phases with you separately. Okay, so PACS phase 1 is the exchange. All you're trying to teach this kiddo during this phase is that he needs to communicate with that card. How to pick it up, how to reach it over to you, and then how to release it to you. Those are the targets. Pick it up, reach over to you with it, and then release it to you. And we're going to do that target with just 3 cards. So you're only going to train 3 cards. You're going to start out with 1 when the patient is doing it with 1. Then you're going to add a second card and then a third card. And the cards that you want to use with phase 1 are things that are highly preferred items for this kiddo. So if their favorite thing is the tablet, use it. If their favorite thing is some kind of food like popsicles, you can use that. M&Ms, whatever. Something that they will want to pick up, reach, and release. Now, on the next page, I'm going to go through some of the guidelines about it with you. I just want you to notice that at least these first few phases, there's two people involved, two trainers. So you're going to use yourself and you're going to maybe use the parent. We'll go through how that all works in the next slide. Okay, so take a look at this phase sheet for phase one. This is kind of like the cheat sheet on how to deliver it. So for phase one, I want you to notice that there's two adults involved here. There's the communication partner, and that's the person who's delivering the SD and receiving the card and such forth. And then there's the physical prompter. And maybe the physical prompter is the parent, and maybe they're sitting behind or next to the child in a chair, and they're delivering the physical prompts. And as they get better and better at it, maybe you'll swap the role with them so that the child gets the opportunity to generalize that across multiple people. So, if you just look at this sheet, first of all, along the top in blue, it gives you some general guidelines. So training must occur across a range of activities. Training must occur with a variety of trainers, so that's why it's good to switch between you and the parent in your roles and maybe include other family members. Training must occur with a variety of reinforcers. So, make sure you have some good reinforcers handy. But what is the reinforcer for a man? The reinforcer for a man is receiving of that item. So really the item you hand them should be the reinforcer. And so we're going to do three things here. We're going to do three different cards. So that communication partner, if you look at yellow in the yellow here on this sheet, it shows you what the communication partner is doing. This is the one that is basically just delivering the SD. It says you're doing no further verbal prompting, so just deliver the SD. What do you want? And you're going to entice them appropriately. So if you got candy, you might say, looks, no verbal stuff. Just, entice them properly with the item in front of them. So you're going to use an open-handed prompt effectively with appropriate timing. So what do you want? You got your hand out to receive the card. So as you're holding the item, you're holding the popsicle, you also have your hand out and you're saying, what do you want? Like, let them know. See, I got the popsicle here. What do you want? They need to hand you the card. So you're not going to insist on speech because that's why we're doing Pecs, because we don't have speech at this point. I mean, we'll bring it out later, okay? But at this point, no speech. You're going to reinforce within a half a second of them doing the target, and then you're going to appropriately socially praise them. So you're going to return the picture after they receive their mandate item. Okay, so if you take a look at the sheet and you look at the pink, that's the physical prompter. What you'll see that they have certain steps here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to start out with step 1. And then if you look through the steps onto step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, it gives the roles of both of the people that are involved and what they should be doing. But if you take a look at the pink, what you'll see is that it's fading out. It's fading out the physical prompt. Okay? All right, phase 2, the travel. So you're not even going to start phase 2, the travel, until you've completely mastered out phase 1. So the idea with phase 2 is now the child knows how to do the exchange. So now we just want to teach them how to travel with those cards. And we've got 3 targets with this. Travel to the communication partner, travel to the book, and then expand traveling. So travel to the communication partner is just where maybe the book is on a table by them so they can easily reach it, but they have to pick that card out of the book and walk it over to the communication partner. Travel to the book is maybe they're close to the communication partner and the book is over there on the end table in the middle of the living room. They have to go travel to the book to get the card. And then number 3 is expanding the traveling. So, maybe the book is in the other room and they need to go get the book and get the card and bring it back to you. So these are three main targets, and you really need to individualize in this phase because I've had kiddos that can easily do 1, 2, and 3, and I've had other kiddos where we have to like break down that expand traveling. We had to have them travel 1 feet and then 2 feet and then 3 feet and then to the other side of the room and then through a door and then um, we had to break it down. We had to like slowly move the book farther and farther away from them. So you're going to individualize on this one and add additional targets if you need to for your specific kiddo to break these targets down if necessary. But just notice that everything else is the same. You'll still be using two different people with this phase because you still are probably pretty heavily prompting. Someone's going to have to be the prompting partner that's going to help the child walk over to the book, pick up the icon, and bring it back to the trainer. Um, for example, if they have to travel to the communication partner, the trainer. All right. Okay, so it's getting thick. We're into phase 3, discriminating pictures. Now, pay attention closely to the targets because there's subtle differences in these targets. And, I think one of the biggest reasons that Pecs fails, because when you hear people say, oh, it didn't work in school or it didn't work here or there, is because they are not delivering it correctly and taking the time to go through these different phases and master them out before going to the next phase. They just want to jump forward, but you really need to do all the phases. So phase 3 is all about discriminating pictures. So the learner will simultaneously discriminate between a variety of preferred and non-preferred picture icons during communication exchanges, and they'll move at distances to do that communicating with the communication partner. Okay, so these are the targets. Target 1 is discriminating with one distractor. Number 2 is discriminating with 2 distractors. So the 2 distractors that you're going to use are less preferred than the target item. The child doesn't prefer them as much as the target item, so they'll kind of be drawn to selecting the right one. Target 3 is discriminating with 2 distractors. One of those distractors is less preferred, but the other one is equally preferred. Now we're starting to measure, is he really discriminating between the different items and communicating what he really wants? And then the 4th target is discriminating with 3 distractors, and all of the distractors that we're using now are equally preferred items. If they like popsicles and they like the tablet and they like M&Ms and they like to bounce their ball, you'll have all those cards out there. And if they say they want to bounce their ball, they need to be selecting the right one. And then number 5 is the correspondence check with 3 distractors. So in the next few slides, I'm going to go through some rules with all these to help you understand what they are, okay? Okay, so I want to give you some tips to teaching discrimination training so that you can successfully deliver phase 3. So tip number 1, the teacher practitioner provides the pictures to the learner and may use positional prompts that are faded to enhance the discrimination training. So think about that. If you have a box of crackers or you have a water and you know that the target is the water, you can move it a little farther forward so that it's more attractive to the patient, and then kind of move it back towards to be even with the crackers so that eventually he's really discriminating between the two. So think about using positional prompts if you want to add those, and then fading them out so that the two become equal in their position at some point. Tip number 2, the communication partner entices the learner with both items by interacting with them. So be interactive with the items to get them interested in the item that they have as a target and the item they need to discriminate against. Tip number 3, the learner selects the picture symbol and moves a distance to give it to the communication partner. So we just learned traveling. So traveling helps to enhance discrimination training because now they have to select one and then put some work behind it, delivering it to you. Okay, over on the other side of the screen, tip number 4, the communication partner provides a social reinforcement as soon as the learner touches the correct picture to entice them to complete the exchange. So think about that. If you see them touching the right picture, or you know they're going for the right picture, they haven't done the exchange, they haven't picked it up and handed it to you yet. But if you start saying stuff like, yep, right, that's going to entice them to want to complete the exchange with you. Tip number 5, the communication partner immediately hands the item to the learner as the exchange is made. Okay, so if they're going to want a bottle of water, you need to have that bottle of water ready. That's the target. If they ask for a bottle of water, you need to not go over the refrigerator and get a bottle of water. You need to be able to hand it to them immediately as soon as they make that selection. So you need to have all your targets right there and ready. If they make a correct response, then hand it to them and name the item. So here's your bottle of water. And if they make an incorrect response, hand it to them anyway. Hand them what they asked for. But don't give a social reaction to it. So if they asked for a bottle of water, but they really meant a box of crackers, but they handed you the card for a bottle of water, give them the bottle of water, even though you know what they want is the crackers, because that's a natural environment consequence, right? That's natural consequences. So use natural consequences to help your discrimination training. Tip number 6, as a learner is able to discriminate between 2 or more pictures, the communication partner adds a variety to the distractor pictures to increase the number of discriminations the learner must make. This is actually built in the targets. The way that we have the targets designed, it's built into them. Okay, so this is important, right in the middle of the screen. The tip for an incorrect selection versus a correct selection. So we kind of covered this a little bit already. But the tip for the incorrect selection, so the helper and communication partners avoid saying no when the child makes a mistake during the discrimination training. Instead, we respond by giving that child what they requested. Without any social reactions, even if we know it's not the desired item. So that's natural consequences. And so the tip, if they make a correct selection, is so this is a critical feature of discrimination training. It's that we're going to reinforce the selection of the correct picture as soon as it happens. So, for example, as soon as the learner's hand touches the picture, even before they've completed the exchange, as soon as it touches the picture, you're going to start delivering reinforcer. So this may be done with verbal praise, such as, yes, that's right, good job, good choice, stuff like that. Okay, that's it. So that should help you out to know how to do some good discrimination training. Okay, so those tips that I gave you in the last video, they were all about targets 1 through 4. So I want to talk to you a little bit about target 5, which is this correspondence check. So what this correspondence check is all about is it's just a little cross check that you do just to make sure that the child is really matching the 2 items. They're matching the card with the item that they want that you have. So take, for example, you've got 4 items for this kiddo. You've got a bottle of water, you've got crackers, you've got a ball, and you've got a tablet. You've got those items sitting in front of you at the table or kind of close to you so you control them. And then the kiddo's got the cards for all of these items. And so you're going to say, what do you want? So they're going to choose a card, they're going to hand it to you, and you're going to say, okay, take it, so that they're able to just reach over and take the item off the table that matches the card that they just gave you. So if they reach for a wrong item that doesn't match the card that you just gave them, you're going to block their access to that wrong item, and you're going to redeliver the SD with the remaining cards to give them another opportunity to pick the correct picture. Or maybe you're going to deliver a physical prompt to correctness if it seems more appropriate in the instance. So what I want you to notice is that's the big difference in this correspondence check target is that with this target, you're not handing them the item. You have the items on display on the table and under your control, and you're letting them pick that item up by him or herself. So that's how you're cross-checking. You're seeing if they're actually reaching for the right item. So that's what the correspondence check is, and that's what the big difference is. All right, yay, you're at phase 4. You're at the I want. This is, kind of a cool place to be, and I'm just going to forewarn you, this is where it usually falls apart. So don't try and rush through this. There's a lot of targets here. Don't try and jump through the other hoops earlier to get to here because, again, you need those foundational blocks. So all you're doing is your SD is still what do you want, and the kiddo's going to respond by telling you what they want by putting the words I want in front of their picture card. So we got our binder here, right? So the first target's 1 through 12 because we're going to do this with just 12 particular picture cards that you pick out. The first target is that you're just going to have a little strip here that starts out that says I want on it. You're just going to leave it there, and all they have to do is add their picture card to it. So now and then you're going to read it to them. I want orange. Okay. So targets 13 through 25. It's going to be the same thing, except that you're not going to have the I want down here for them. They need to put the I want there. So maybe you'll have another piece of Velcro up here that says I want. They got to pull it off here, and they got to put the I want and then their picture card. So they have to form the sentence I want orange, and then put the I want down there themselves. Okay, so targets 26 through 38, you're going to separate those two words, I and want, because they're really two different words, right? So you might have an I up here, and you might have a want up here, and then your picture cards they can choose from. Give them a few to discriminate, or just leave their picture cards in here if they're already looking in the binder for the section of what they want. They need to move the I down here, they need to move the want down here, and then put in the appropriate picture card. So then the next level is that we're not going to make the I and the want so available to them. We're going to put the I want, and we're going to put all the picture cards inside the binder. They have to go inside the binder to find the I, the want, and whatever the picture is. And they have to put them onto the front of the binder to communicate to you. So they got to go find the I, put it there, find the want, put it there, and then find the orange and put it there. So now they're actually building their own sentence. Awesome. All righty then, we are getting there. Crystal, are you still hanging with me? Okay, so we're at phase 5, adding the delay. So this is we're gonna make the kid a little bit spontaneous and independent. We're gonna use those same 12 picture cards that we've been using, and we're gonna use the I want. We have to add that to the beginning of our sentences because now we're doing sentences. But if you look at this target list, numbers 1 through 6, what we're doing with phase 5 is we're using a point and verbal cue to get this kid to become spontaneous and to become independent. And we're just adding a time delay with that point and verbal cue. So the first target is simultaneously, we're going to point to the Pecs binder and ask, what do you want? So we're given the point of the simultaneous point, and then also that verbal cue of the what do you want. And so on target 2, we're no longer doing it simultaneously. We're going to add a 3-second delay. So we're going to point to the Pecs book, wait 3 seconds before we say, what do you want? And then when that is mastered and maintained, we're going to add more to the delay. Now we're going to do 5 seconds, the same thing. And then the next target is to do a 10-second delay. And then the 5th target is we're going to replace our point with just glancing at the book and then saying, what do you want? So now we're going from a point to just glancing at the book. We're fading out the point. And then with target 6, we're going to replace that point with a glance still. So we faded out the point, and we're going to also fade out the verbal cue, and we're just going to get the kid to initiate on their own. So if you have to fade it out incrementally, like instead of the verbal cue, you want to fade those words from what do you want to take a word off at a time, or something like that. You can break that target down even more if you want. Okie dokie. All right. right, because you are extremely cool, you now have this kid fluently manding. Let's get him tacting. So phase 6 is called responsive commenting, but it's really just tacting. So the learner is going to tack 20 items by placing a sentence strip in front of it that says "I see." Um, your uh, your SD is going to be "What do you see?" So um, they're going to tack the item for you. So you're just going to have 20 items that are selected picture icons. So uh, this is going to be a fun thing to do. They can do it on a little scavenger hunt, go outside, look at trees, look at balls, stuff like that, and say, you have your 20 pre-selected cards and your sentence strip ready that says, I see. You say, what do you see? And we want them to come back and we want them to form the sentence that says, I see a ball. So that's what this one is, and you can have fun with it after they build it, and go back to phase 5 and add some delay, and make them spontaneous. After you master out phase 6, you can add that spontaneity like we did in phase 5 and get them spontaneously tacting. So you've arrived. So good job as you got through the first phases of Pecs and this got this kid established for manding and tacting with an alternative communication device. Good job.